What's up, Marvel fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be talking about what I felt were the 5 best moments from Marvel Studios' newest movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. So first of all, before I get started, obviously there will be spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine. It did just come out this past weekend as of this recording, on July 26th. So if you haven't seen that movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, go check out the movie first and then come back and watch this video. There's your spoiler warning, so let's get into the video. So I think right out of the gate, one of my most favorite scenes from this movie, I thought it was kind of funny and also just really brutal and everything else, and it fit perfectly with the character of Deadpool, was the opening sequence or whatever. I forget how long exactly it was in the actual movie itself, or how much time went by with this opening sequence or whatever, but it is still technically like the opener of the movie. It's when Deadpool digs up Wolverine's corpse from the movie Logan, like it's that exact Wolverine, and uses the body parts from Logan to kill a bunch of like TVA agents and stuff because of what Deadpool did in this movie. He ends up like running into the TVA, and then he fights against them, basically tries to escape them and everything else, and that's how he ends up in the void. So this opening where he's trying to find these different variants of Wolverine, he starts with this dead one from the movie Logan, and straight up says in the movie, like, yeah, we lied about that, we are actually using this, like, because Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman said they weren't going to touch anything from Logan because that movie did happen, and they weren't going to dig up the past, and then they literally did dig it up in the first couple minutes of this movie. I thought the whole thing was kind of funny, just seeing Deadpool like dancing around to an NSYNC song while he's doing it. He's using Logan's different like adamantium bones in different ways to kill these TVA agents. He's throwing bones at them and things like that, stabbing them with them. At one point, he even straps Wolverine's claws to himself and uses them as weapons and stuff. I thought it was really cool and interesting way to sort of open the movie. And it kind of fit with the opening of the other 2 Deadpool movies as well, where it's just like this ridiculous stuff is happening, and we have no clue what's going on, and it's meant to like do a flashback to show us how we got to that point, and then eventually builds up. That's kind of what they did in the first 2 Deadpool movies as well. So this was kind of a neat way to continue that trend and open the movie, and I thought it was just really cool seeing the different ways that he used Logan's bones to sort of make them into weapons, and the fact that his corpse decayed like over his bones, like his bones stayed intact, but like everything else evaporated. I mean, which does happen with human bodies anyways, but like the fact that the adamantium stayed there and stuff, and it's still just as sharp as ever, like you can use it and stuff. I thought that was just an interesting way to open the movie, and it was just funny seeing Deadpool dancing around the whole time in the process, and like breaking the fourth wall, talking to us at the same time. And it was really brutal seeing all these TVA agents get killed in this way, but I guess that's how Deadpool is. But I just thought it was a really unique opening to the movie that I wasn't expecting at all. Even from the trailers, you kind of see these scenes where they're like in these woods and it's snowing and stuff. Like we don't really know what exactly that is or where they are and stuff, and then to see that as the opening of the movie, I thought was really cool. And they kept it from us, like they didn't reveal that in the trailers really, that he uses Logan's bones as a weapon. Like we kind of see him fighting TVA agents, but we never see what he's using necessarily. So they did a nice job of like concealing that until you get to the actual movie. I just thought it was really on brand with a Deadpool movie to open the movie in this way. Another one of my favorite moments was when Logan meets Laura from the movie Logan. This is a grown-up version of Daphne Keene's character. She played Laura, which was X-23, I guess is what her name was. She was the little girl from the movie Logan that had Logan's abilities and could, has the metal claws and everything else. She got her abilities from Wolverine's blood, I guess, technically, that somebody experimented on her and gave her those abilities just as they did all the other kids in that movie that had the mutant abilities as well. And even though this isn't the Logan that she knew, and it isn't the one that saved her life in that movie, this was still a variant of Logan, so she kind of still felt that sort of like fatherly attachment to him. And I like this one specific scene in particular after Logan meets Laura, and they actually have a talk together. Logan reveals that, or like this variant of Logan reveals what happened in his universe, where the reason that the TVA says that he let everybody down is because he says he went off for a drink, and then some mutant killers came in and took out or wiped out all the rest of the X-Men and stuff, and he wasn't there to stop them because he went out drinking. So now that's kind of why he wears the yellow and blue suit that we see in the movie that he's finally wearing, which is the comic book accurate suit. And it kind of gives a backstory to why he's wearing it in the first place. He's not just wearing it just to wear it, it's to remember all of the X-Men because they tried to get him to wear that. And even though we've never seen this version of Logan, I feel like that was a really powerful way of showing us like what exactly happened in that universe and what that X-Men universe may have looked like just through a couple simple little lines of dialogue. It really gave us a backstory on this brand new version of Wolverine that we've never seen before, and what exactly he's been through compared to the Wolverine that we've gotten to know all these years through the entire X-Men franchise. And I thought Hugh Jackman did a really nice job of like portraying that emotion from him and that sadness and inner turmoil that this Logan is going through because of what happened in his universe. And I feel like that was portrayed really well. And I like that they had Laura kind of console him so it was kind of like a sort of closure for her as well, where she's getting to talk to Wolverine again. Even though it's not the same one, she still kind of gets that closure, and she gets to say how she feels and sort of thanks him for saving her life, even though he isn't the one. And her words kind of resonate with him to where he'll step up and help Deadpool and the others that they run into in the Void later on in the movie, because originally, by this point in the movie, he doesn't want to help anymore. He's kind of just doesn't care about any of it anymore. And to have her be the one that sort of like opens his eyes and makes him realize that he is still a hero, even though he doesn't feel like he is because of what happened. I just thought that was a really genius move on their part, having Laura in this movie to do that with this version of Wolverine. And I thought that whole scene was just really well done. Another scene that I really enjoyed was the one where Wolverine and Deadpool are in a car together. They're driving to, I forget where exactly they were going, but they're in the Void still, and they're driving to meet somebody or whatever. They're trying to get back to fight Cassandra Nova or something like that. But during their ride, Wade accidentally lets it slip that the TVA may not be able to reverse what happened in Wolverine's timeline or whatever, even though he promised him earlier in the film that they could do that, and Wolverine believed him, but now he's let it slip that can't happen. So Wolverine stops the car and starts going off on Deadpool, and I think the way that Hugh Jackman delivered all these lines with that anger and frustration in his voice, I thought was really well done. It shows the kind of actor Hugh Jackman is, where he is this really serious character when he plays Wolverine, and to see him in like musicals and stuff outside of this, I think it's just like this contrast in like the different styles he gives to each character that he plays in these different movies and stuff, I think makes him one of the best actors of all time. And it kind of shows that in here, where he's playing this grittier version of Wolverine that's really angry and bitter, and he's more angry toward himself because he let his universe down, essentially, and he let the X-Men in his universe all get killed on his watch, like I mentioned with when he confessed to Laura earlier on in the movie. Just the way that he delivered these lines and everything else, you could feel that emotion in his voice and that anger and rage in his voice that he has toward Deadpool, and everything he's saying to Deadpool keeps him completely silent. Like, this is the first time we're seeing Wade where he's not joking, he doesn't say anything back, he's just stopped. He's awestruck at what Logan is saying, and I think it's because we can kind of see, even though you can't actually see Wade's face in this moment because he has the Deadpool mask on, you can kind of almost feel it in his silence that what Logan is saying to him is resonating with him. Like he's insulting him, he's calling him childish, he's calling him basically a nitwit and all those kind of things, and that he couldn't even save his relationship. How is he supposed to save the world and that kind of stuff? And that's all these things that Wade is struggling with in this movie. Like he did lose his relationship with Vanessa, and we see that throughout the movie that he's thinking back to that. That's something that's bothering him, that he can't save that relationship, and everything he's trying to do is for her. But he's also been dealing with this sort of self-doubt, like nobody wants him, he's not being called on, like the Avengers get called on. I think like that really resonated with Wade, where like he's feeling this self-doubt, like nobody wants me, I am not a hero. And Logan going off on him here is bringing those emotions to the surface, and without saying a word, which is off character for Wade Wilson, because that's how he's always been. Like Deadpool is always that character that's always making wisecracks and jokes and turning to the camera and talking to us and breaking the fourth wall. Just in his silence, we get that emotion that maybe he's thinking that Logan is right about him and everything he's saying is true. And then all Wade can say when Logan's done with this rant is, I'm gonna fight you now. And then they fight in the car for like the whole rest of the night, I guess. You just see like them fighting with each other and stuff, and then it cuts to the morning, and they're both just laying there in the car, and Wade's all tied up in the seatbelt, because I assume that's the only way Logan was able to keep him from fighting with him, which I thought was funny to sort of transition out of that. But in those moments there where Logan is saying all those things about him, I thought that was really well done from both actors, really, where you don't hear any words from Wade at all, but you still can feel how he's feeling right now while Logan is yelling at him and insulting him and belittling him and everything else. And I thought it was really well done, and sort of gave us that emotional drive, like for both characters almost, to do better. Like Wade had something to prove now, not just to Logan but to himself, that he can be the hero, which kind of inspires him through the rest of the movie to do these more heroic things and to actually try and save the universe. And I also think that maybe Logan has something to prove to himself too. It's almost the same thing. Like he's struggling with, am I a hero? Like maybe he's saying those things to himself as well in this moment while he's yelling at Wade and calling him childish and everything else. I thought this scene was just really well done, especially just in this kind of movie where it's meant to be this comedy, and you get this really like serious, tense moment between the two characters that are supposed to be working together. It kind of reminded me of Captain America Civil War with like Tony and Cap, like when you get the reveal that Winter Soldier was the one that killed Tony's parents, and then it leads into the fight with Tony and Cap and Steve. That's kind of the same thing here, where these two characters that we have seen fight once already in the movie, but they've kind of been working together since then, and now they're going to fight again. I thought it was a really good lead up to like their second fight, and like I said, it kind of gave them both character motivations going forward, which is why I think the scene worked so much. Another part of this movie that I really enjoyed was all the different scenes where Wade is sort of traveling through the multiverse to try and find a variant of Wolverine to bring back to his universe, so that his universe doesn't die, because the TVA considers Wolverine to be the anchor being of that universe, and since Logan is now dead, Deadpool's entire, basically the X-Men franchise is dead now. The X-Men universe is dying because Logan is gone. So Wade takes that to mean, well, I could just go grab another Wolverine and bring him to my timeline. And I kind of like that he misunderstood that you can't really do that. And he just goes off to find all these different Wolverines, and that's how he ends up in the situation in the opening sequence that I mentioned earlier. I thought it was really cool seeing all these different versions of like what Logan is in these different realities. There's one where he's known as Patch, he's like a poker player or something in disguise. I guess there was a comic book run where he did that. That was sort of his like disguise name or something, or like his human name, I guess, where he was trying to hide his identity or something, so he called himself Patch. Wade runs into that version of him and doesn't take that one. He runs into a Wolverine that's like comic accurate in size, I guess. So he's like 5 feet tall or whatever instead of 6 foot whatever Hugh Jackman is, which I thought was hilarious. And he's like poking fun at him and giving him these little baby names and all that kind of stuff while Logan's running toward him and stuff, and Wade's making fun of him for his height and everything else. And then of course there's the Henry Cavill cameo, where he is also a variant of Wolverine. And of course Deadpool makes reference to the fact that this is Henry Cavill, and that like Marvel's going to treat him better than DC did, when he played Superman for them and that kind of stuff. I thought that was all really hilarious, and it did fit in well with like Deadpool's character. And I just thought it was funny seeing Wade's interaction with each one of these Wolverines. All of that I thought was just really hilarious, and it fit in well with it was a nice little montage in the movie to just kind of give you something to laugh about before he got to the actual like Wolverine that we see him with through the remainder of the movie. And finally, I kind of coupled these things together, but it was all the cameos that we got to see that I wasn't expecting. Because a lot of the cameos from different like X-Men characters was sort of revealed in one of the trailers. Like you had like Azazel from X-Men First Class. We had like Psylocke from one of them. You had Juggernaut was there. The original Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie. Like all of those kind of characters were there, which made sense because like technically the entire X-Men franchise in the Fox universe was pruned into the void by the TVA, so like that made sense that all of them were there. But what I wasn't expecting was cameos from all these other Fox superhero characters as well. Like we got a cameo from Blade, played but still by Wesley Snipes as a cameo in this movie. We had Elektra, played by Jennifer Garner, as she was in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie a long time ago. I think like 2000-something or 2 or whatever, whenever that movie came out. And then even Channing Tatum as Gambit from the movie that never got made, that I guess he was supposed to play Gambit in. So he actually got to play that role in this movie, and he did play a prominent role as well. Like these characters did team up with Deadpool later on in the movie. I thought all these cameos were really unexpected, but I think the one that really surprised me the most was Chris Evans' return to the MCU as Johnny Storm from the original like Fantastic Four movie. I was not expecting to see that, honestly. I didn't expect to see Chris Evans coming back to the MCU to just play this role. I mean, he does get killed off eventually in the movie by Cassandra Nova in a very brutal way, might I add. And I thought the lead up to his reveal was like really cool, like because Wade could see who it was. He had a hood on and stuff. He was facing them, and he yelled to them and everything else, and then jumped down in front of them. And Wade was all excited. And then when Johnny takes his hood off, and Wade thinks that it's Captain America, he's like saluting him and everything else. And he thinks he's about to say Avengers Assemble, and then he says flame on, and it goes flying through the air. I thought it was really hilarious, like seeing Wade mistake him for Captain America, because he knows that he was Captain America. So even like Wade was kind of as surprised as we were that this wasn't Captain America or a variant of Captain America, but it was a variant of, or actually probably the original Johnny Storm, played by Chris Evans, which I think really added to the scene and made it even funnier with Wade, or like with Wade's reaction to this and everything else. I just wasn't expecting that. I think they did a nice job of like hiding these big cameos and keeping them out of the trailers, other than I guess the Laura one. And I think they did a really cool job of explaining why the other characters that are associated with those characters aren't there at that moment either. Like for example, Johnny says that I think the other Fantastic Four were killed in the Void. Like he talks about Reed, but we don't see Reed there. And I think it's just a good way of explaining why those characters aren't there, when in reality it's just maybe they couldn't get those actors to come back to play those roles or something. They might be busy, or they just couldn't get them for whatever reason or whatever. So they just kind of explained it away that they got killed in the Void. And so I thought that was kind of a nice touch, so that we wouldn't question, like, well, where's the rest of the Fantastic Four? Where's the other characters from Blade? Where's Ben Affleck's Daredevil at? If they were all killed in the Void. That was a nice way of explaining that without having to leave us questioning it. But there you go, guys. Those were my picks for the 5 best moments from Deadpool and Wolverine. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. What did you like about the movie? Did you think it saved the MCU, as some people were saying, or did you think it was just another standalone Deadpool movie, essentially? Let me know all that down in the comments. What were some of your favorite moments and things of that nature if you have seen the movie? And also be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and check out any other Marvel content that we have on this channel as well. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.